Hey there, and welcome back to Temporary Locals.
I'm Jared.
And I'm Megan. And this week we're doing something a little bit different. We're actually going to take you back in time and we're going to celebrate 1 year of Temporary Locals.
Woo!
Woo!
1 full year, we made it.
Yeah, we did it.
I think they said what, most don't last 20 episodes or something, or 10 episodes?
Something like that. Yeah,
Mm,
that's like the
here
average
here we are.
statistic of podcasting. But so today we're going to reflect on our past destinations, guests, bloopers, the fun stuff, and just our general learning curve of starting a podcast on a whim.
It really was a whim too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, if you are new here, Jared and I are an adventure loving couple sharing our real stories and experiences from the places that we've actually been. So whether you're kind of just here for your next adventure or you're here for the stories, then we're so glad that you're here and we hope that you stick around and subscribe. We put out new episodes every week. Sometimes we start our episodes with a current event. It's usually something travel related because this is an adventure travel podcast. Surprise.
Mhm.
Um, but our I didn't have anything in particular unless you did, but the one thing I did want to mention is we are now on Amazon Music and iHeartRadio. I don't know why it took me so long to get us there because it's literally just like subscribing to the RSS feed. But podcasting 101, I guess.
Yeah.
So now we're available on those platforms so you can listen basically anywhere you get podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we're on YouTube video and Spotify video and Amazon Music and iHeartRadio. Did I already say Apple Podcasts? We're there too.
I think so. But yeah, kinda going back to what you said about learning curves and kinda learning as you go, um, we realized pretty early on, but not right from the beginning, that RSS feeds really are a game changer when it comes to podcasting. So if you're somebody that's looking at starting a podcast, and I've had people interested in starting podcasts that have reached out to me personally and asked about the best way to kind of do it. And yeah, RSS feed is the way to go.
Yeah,
It
and
really was a
there's
game changer for us.
once I figured out that we could technically Spotify is your hosting platform and I'm by no means an expert, but you can host it wherever your RSS feed comes from, I guess. Basically anywhere. But we just started with Spotify, and so we haven't changed it. So yeah, Spotify hosts our RSS link, and you just basically go on, create an account on all the other platforms, and paste the link in there, and say this is my platform, and you claim it. I guess I don't necessarily know exactly
Yeah,
how that works,
I
but
kind of view our podcast as being, I know we're on all the different platforms and people prefer different platforms. Um, I think of us as mainly on Spotify. That's kind of like where I look the most anyway. Um, but we're on them all. So wherever you prefer to check us out, we appreciate likes, comments, subscribing, following on the various platforms. But yeah, I don't know. I like Spotify a lot, and I just kind of that's kind of my go-to. So that's kind of where I feel like our home is kind of Spotify.
yeah, well, but everybody does something different. Like and this is just me, and I'm probably not going to change it. But I listen to my podcasts on YouTube. Like
Hmm.
even if I'm driving, before I go, I'll find one, click it. It's an hour or two or whatever, and just set my phone down. I'm not even watching the video; I'm just listening to it. But that's just where I consume my podcasts from. So I know a lot of people have their preferred platform. I use Spotify for music,
Right.
but not podcasts.
Yeah.
So whether you're an Apple person, a Spotify, or whatever, we are here for you.
Isn't it like, though, if you're listening to something on YouTube in the car, you have it connected through your car,
Mhm.
and you close out of YouTube, doesn't it close out of the audio coming through?
Yeah, that's why I just leave it open.
Right, but I think that's why I use Spotify, because if I'm listening to a podcast on Spotify, I can back out of Spotify, and not that you should be, like, doing things on your phone while you're driving, but, like, I can do other things or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's right. It's just me. That's just what I do.
Right, yeah.
Um, because I don't know, a lot of the people that I listen to on YouTube aren't necessarily on the platforms, if that makes sense. Maybe they are, and I'm just like, "Meh."
Well, and again, I don't check Apple that often, or iHeartRadio and all those other ones that were like recently on, but mainly YouTube and Spotify. But I believe we're the most popular on Spotify, correct? I mean, as far as listeners go, and as far as like overall followers and things.
I think potentially, but there might be quite a bit of listeners on Apple,
Mm,
but for whatever reason, I actually have to I've been putting off calling Apple support because there's a separate like portal for like podcast hosting on Apple, and when I go there it's just blank. And I've looked online and a lot of people have had the same issues, and basically the only remedy is to call their support and have somebody do something on the back end. I don't know. But
right,
yeah, so I can't see our analytics from Apple, but I can see through Spotify sometimes it'll break it down the listeners by platform.
right.
And so Spotify and Apple are kind of like neck and neck.
And Spotify also breaks down listeners based on like region, country, or like part of the world. And it's interesting because most of our listeners obviously are here in the United States, but I think the second largest amount of our listeners actually are in like Vietnam,
Yeah.
which is interesting. I mean, awesome part of the world. We've done episodes um, on that area, but it's of all the places, it's just kind of funny that like people in Vietnam seem to really like our podcast.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for listening.
yeah.
We're happy to have you here.
So yeah, let's get into the episode.
We have to talk about how we came up with our name,
Hmm.
Temporary Locals, because I don't know that we've ever really covered it officially. I think most recently we talked with Tom Dubois about it a little bit because we were just kind of talking about travel in general. But yeah, we need to tell you guys why temporary locals, why that name.
Yeah, I think it all kind of spawns from the same kind of ethos that like Anthony Bourdain used to speak about, be a traveler, not a tourist. I think temporary locals for me just means anywhere you go or everywhere you go, you really try to experience a place more than just a visitor or a tourist would. You really try to get out into the thick of it. You really try to experience the culture. You try to connect with local people. You try to live like a local, even if you're only there for a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is. You try to get more out of your travel than just sitting on a resort somewhere or, not really experiencing the place in its entirety. And I think that is where that comes from. That saying about being a local is something that I've said for years when I would travel. Anytime I'd go somewhere, I'm like, I'm a local, anywhere I go. And it just kind of stuck. So I think when we were looking for a title for our travel podcast, it was like we came up with temporary locals. And that's kind of the ethos of how we try to travel and the kind of travelers that we like to talk to and things like that. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. And it was also like we would say that as kind of like a running joke because there was a period of time where we were traveling quite a bit because you were traveling for work and you were on the road a lot. And so I'd come visit you and we'd be in places on like a random Tuesday or a Thursday or something like that. So it's like, not the weekend, not that you can't have a local experience on the weekend, right? But just like a random weekday, and it's like, we're eating dinner at this, like, local spot or having coffee or something, and we'd look at each other and be like, "Look, we're locals. Look at
right.
us."
Yeah. And because I used to travel around a lot and go to different places all the time, but I'd go back to these same places over and over again. So it kind of became a thing where after going to these different places so many times, I kind of learned the cool spots to go. I learned where to go for the nightlife. I learned where to go to eat, the best restaurants in town. I learned where to go to hike. Um, to the point to where like I would have people reach out to me and ask me recommendations for places that I don't even live. But that's just how much I went to these places all the time. And so I kind of became like a local everywhere I went. And I'd go to, I was in a different town every week. And so I always kind of knew like, oh, we're going here next week. Yeah, we got to hit this place up and hit this place up. And then, we can go hiking here. And um, so, I mean, I still have people reach out to me all the time and ask me about like, hey, this random town in, North Carolina or Georgia or, wherever, Florida. Um, what is there to do there? And I mean, these are places that I don't live, obviously, but like I kind of know my way around. And so, I mean, that's kind of where like I'm a local everywhere I go kind of comes from is like I know people that can travel somewhere and they can go 100 times and not tell you, you know, that the best taco stand is down the street on the corner, you
Yeah.
know, and I think that's kind of what hopefully sets us apart, or what we strive for is to like really travel with purpose and travel to really experience a place as opposed to just being there.
Yeah, and, it's been really fun to chat with people, I guess, on our podcast too, that they think about it kinda the same way.
Hmm.
Like, we've talked to people who have been to places for, like, a week or a few days or 2 months, but it's like, it's not the time that you're there to get the temporary local feeling. It's the, like, quality of the time that you're spending there and the things that you're doing with your time.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with confidence. I think when you travel with confidence, you're more likely to put yourself in positions where you're experiencing more locally. You're experiencing culture. You're meeting people. It can be hard when you're traveling to a new place, especially a new country, to go up and talk to somebody or to try to like meet people. Um, but I think if you have confidence in yourself as a traveler, it's a lot easier to do that. And so I think it's just about that. Really, it's about confidence. You know, like just realize that, like, hey, I know I'm actually a tourist and I know I'm just a traveler, but I'm a local this week. For this week that I'm in, you know, such and such place, I'm a local and I'm going to treat it like I'm a local and I'm going to experience this place like a local would.
Yeah,
And I think that that
and
kind
try to
of
look at it from their lens.
right. And I
Yeah.
think that's what sets travelers and tourists apart at the end of the day. And I think that's what going back to, you know, the real inspiration for that kind of view is like Anthony Bourdain, the way he traveled, you know, and he always spoke a lot about that, and I think that um, that's kind of the inspiration behind it. So, and also rest in peace, Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so we started our first episode was on Costa Rica, and we had just gotten back from a trip to Costa Rica, and that was in June of 2025.
mhm,
And, we had kind of been talking about it before that, like, we didn't just come home from that trip and say, "Let's go ahead and start a podcast." We had toyed with the idea a little bit,
right.
but we had such an awesome trip, we were like, "We have to do this right now."
I mean, I had been throwing around the idea of making a travel podcast for a long time because I've always really enjoyed writing and you know writing about my travels and adventures and things, but I always thought like you know as much as I enjoy that, it'd be really cool to be able to like tell my stories and actually like communicate them like through spoken word to people. And I see a lot of other podcasts that I listen to and things, and I hear all these people that like talk about like their adventures and I just think to myself like, well, I have some really cool stories, and I've been some really cool places, and I have some really awesome experiences that I could like share with people that I think they'd enjoy listening to. And I think you and I were just kind of sitting around one day, and we're talking about some of our travels and specifically Costa Rica, and we were just like, man, we should like we want to like tell these stories to people and we want people to like hear our adventures because they're really cool. And so, yeah, we just kind of on a whim just decided like, let's record a podcast episode. And we didn't really think anything of it. And we certainly didn't think that it would spiral into like what it's become. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to look back and think of just I mean, the preparation that we do now is different, the technology that we use is different. Our first 2 episodes were recorded on these little pink lavalier. I don't know how to say that word, I think that's how you say it, but those little mics, the little handheld ones that I got for, like, $5 on the TikTok shop
Right.
for myself because I was making, videos or whatever, and I'd wanna be able to do, like, a voiceover. So I just had those laying around, and we were like, "Let's just do it." So we would record on the voice notes on my Mac.
Yeah. Cause you already had your laptop. Right.
Yep.
But I feel like those first couple episodes, even with those crappy mics and even with, I think the whole point of this podcast is like, yeah, we have better equipment. Yeah. We have, you know, better strategy going into these episodes and we do better planning and things, but I think those early episodes I really like them regardless, and I don't look at them as like they were bad because I think the part of this podcast that's the most important part is the storytelling. And I think even with the and it's not terrible audio. I mean, I think those little mics actually were pretty good for what they are. But if you go back and listen to those early first couple episodes, it's like I still think they were really good episodes, and I think it's really about the storytelling. And I think that those, especially our Costa Rica episode, I think was a really good episode. And I think the stories we have are what really make the episode special.
I agree, and I think because we had such a good experience on that first episode, it was really motivating to keep going.
Right. Yeah, it was fun.
And, we didn't start out with video, we started out just audio only because again, this was a whole like, I didn't know what I was doing, and you didn't know either, and so we're just like, I was like, "I don't even know how we would start a video and, like, sync it with the audio file," and it just was, like, mentally, I was like, "I can't even think about that right now, let's just do with what we're doing."
Yeah.
And so yeah, and then slowly over time, we got feedback from someone that was like, "Can you just put it on YouTube even if it's not video?" Because somebody said that's how I consume my podcast because 'cause they're like me. And they were like, "Even if you don't have video and you just put, like, art in the background or whatever, your show logo, just do that." So then we played around with that. We tried video on episode 4, and we've talked about this before, our New Orleans episode. We recorded a whole episode, and we were just so uncomfortable being on camera that we looked at each other after that episode, and we were like, "Oh, I hated that. Let's redo it," and we just did audio.
Right. And I think it was actually our first 3 episodes, right? That we did with the old mics. I think it was the New Orleans episode is when we actually got the equipment that we use now.
I
Um,
think you're
and
right.
and we tried video that first time and didn't like it, like you said. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun, and I think that's the biggest thing is I think a lot of people that start a podcast or do this kind of thing, they compare themselves to other people or they compare themselves to other podcasts. They look at the numbers so much and they forget the real reason why you should want to start a podcast. And you know, the reason why you and I started a podcast is because we enjoy doing it. It's fun. And I talked about this in the post that we post on our social media and stuff, but it's like we've met so many cool people. And that kind of gets into what I was going to say is, you know, we didn't even have our first guest until episode 12.
Yep.
So we did 11 episodes just on our own before we even started having guests on, which I think is good because I wouldn't have wanted to jump right into having guests on. I think we needed to get comfortable speaking into a mic, speaking on camera, um, you know, just comfortable doing this before bringing somebody else in. So I think that waiting that long before actually having guests on was a good idea. But that's another cool aspect of starting this aside from it just being fun for you and I is like it's been fun to meet people and we really kind of build a community of travelers and we've made so many friends just from doing this and meeting people and talking to people that you know we all kind of support each other and we're in this like little community now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's the other thing is, like, having guests on is so cool too because it's fun to talk about our experiences, right? But, like, we're just 2 people, we have not been all over the world, and I wanna learn about other places too, just like somebody listening might, you know? So, yeah, it's awesome to be able to get to talk to new people, and we've had a couple guests on a couple different times,
Hmm.
to be able to catch back up with them. So yeah, just like you said, there's like a community aspect to it that is a really cool outcome of starting this podcast.
Yeah, and it's like a slow build. You slowly build a following and that's kind of goes back to like the whole point of people that focus so much on the numbers or wanting to go viral or wanting it to blow up. It's like you start from the ground up and you build a community, you build listeners and followers and you know, I mean the amount of people that like we've kind of acquired as friends or listeners or supporters of us over time in the past year. It builds and builds and maybe it doesn't grow as fast as maybe you would want it to, but it's a slow build and you know, you just got to put in the work. So I try to remind people of that too when they ask me about starting a podcast. And I'm like, listen, you're not going to go viral your first episode, or you probably won't. But you just keep grinding and putting in the work. And the most important thing is to enjoy it while you're doing it, or else why are you doing it?
Yeah. Yeah, and I also think it's gonna be nice one day, because who knows how long we'll do this for, right? But one day to have our experiences recorded and we can listen to them when we're older and be like, "Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah,
Right.
that one place that we went," or, whatever. So it's like almost like a time capsule for ourselves.
Yeah, and we'll always have it, and it's kind of why a lot of people take photographs, travel photos and stuff, is to like look back on those memories. But we'll also, aside from having photographs, we have these stories that we've told and our experiences and stuff that we have forever, and are out on the internet for anybody to listen to, and that's kind of cool to think about too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay, well, that was kind of a little bit about
journey.
our journey, kind of starting it and going through our technology upgrades or whatnot. Oh, there is one thing we didn't put in there is like audio engineering. And shout out Guitar Center for this $50 audio interface, because when we changed from those two pink mics, because they were Bluetooth and they go to one receiver that was USB-C and I could plug it into my phone or whatever we were recording with. Then coming to two different mics, it's a different input. So then it's two different inputs and the Mac couldn't handle that. So had to do some research and some learning and figure out how to use one of these, and found one for like $50 at Guitar Center. So shouts out Guitar Center and their used.
Audio equipment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, in the past year, we've really taken listeners all over the world, and we've been to all corners of the earth, with the help of a lot of our guests that we've had on, like you said.
Yeah.
Because
Shout outs Matt Hashuga for taking us to Antarctica, because we probably wouldn't have crossed that continent off.
yeah, there's a number of episodes we've had where it's like, okay, I mean, we appreciate all the guests, appreciate all the different destinations that people have been and have shared with us. There's a few destinations specifically where it's like, okay, we'll probably only ever have that one time, maybe. Antarctica's one. Um, Chernobyl, our last episode that we did with Tom Dubois. That's another one. And our good buddy Hostel Bob. I mean, he took us to deep into the Amazon. A lot of people have been to Brazil. A lot of people have been to Peru, us included. But I think very few people go deep into the Amazon. So those three specific places I think are really niche and special in that way. And yeah, it's just that's the cool part about like interviewing people is they come with these like really unique experiences in places that either we've never been, will probably never go, or there's no real like reference point. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like I can't even begin to imagine what Antarctica is really like without being there. Um, I can imagine what Germany's like, or what pick a country that I've never been to. There's usually some sort of reference point, but certain places it's like, wow, that's a really niche place. That there's really nothing to like kind of compare it to.
Yeah. And the cool part is we haven't actually shared this officially on the podcast, but our how we wanted to have our episodes go or be released was kind of like a domestic US based and then international, and alternate between those two. And we did for our first, probably, I don't know, 1 through 10. And then we just kind of started saying we don't need to hold ourselves to that, but we do like to have an international episode at least here and there too. It also was like we need to travel more.
Right? Yeah, because I mean we've been a lot of places, and that but we've only been so many places also, and so that was another reason for bringing guests on. Aside from the fact that it's cool to just have guests, and all the things that we said, creating community and making friends and hearing cool stories from other people. It's one of my favorite parts about doing this. But also on top of that, it's like it helps get us content, because you and I have only been to so many places, and so eventually we're going to run out no matter how much traveling we do. This is a weekly podcast, so uh and the domestic trips really kind of help with that because we've been to a lot of places in the US. I mean, I've traveled all over the US. uh but yeah, I mean, a lot of those international trips, it's really helpful to have guests on that can take us to all these different places in the world. So that really helps with having content, being able to put out these episodes every week. So it was kind of cool because I remember our first guest episode. We were really excited, and we had our first guest. It's a milestone for a podcast, and but since then, it's like we've been rolling on and like getting guests left and right, and our podcast has slowly been building, and we've even had people reach out to us about coming on as guests, which is really cool.
Yeah. So cool. I remember when that happened, I was, like, telling all my parents and my friends, and I was like, "Guess what, you guys?
All right.
Somebody wants to come on our podcast. They reached out to us."
Right. Yeah, it is a cool feeling, and it again, like you said, that makes you, it kind of lights a spark under you. Like, wow, what we're doing is working. It's not falling on deaf ears. Like,
Yeah,
people are interested, and at least some people are, and so that's really motivating in a way. It's like people actually want to come on and talk to us, and they see the value in what we're doing. So, um, yeah, I'll just throw that out there. If anybody's interested in coming on, if you've been somewhere cool and you want to talk about it, we'll have anybody on. We have guests, all different types of travelers on. We have luxury travelers. We have people who are backpackers who stay in hostels. We have people who are, travel with their families. We have people who solo travel. We have all different types of people on. Um, and if you want to come on, just send us an email.
yeah,
We have our email posted somewhere, right?
yep. It's, TemporaryLocalsPod@gmail.com.
Yep. So we're always looking for guests, and we're also always looking for feedback and anything that you guys want to hear us talk about, or suggestions for places to go. You'd like to see us travel somewhere and talk about it. We're always down to do that too.
Yeah, or some of the things that I like the most about some of the podcasts that I listen to is actually connecting with, like, the hosts and learning a little bit about them, so we don't actually do that a whole lot. I mean, we'll talk things come up, right, naturally in conversation, but, we don't actually have, like, a specific, like, catch up or kind of what's going on with our week or whatever. Not that maybe people don't wanna hear that, but if, things like that too, um, we are open to feedback.
Yeah.
Should we run through the list of, kind of like a quick hit places that we've covered?
I don't think we need to go through all of them. I mean, we've been all over the United States, all over the world, but I think it's important to point out that we did two episodes, but a part one and part two on Peru early on, episodes 5 and 6. And I think those episodes still today, again, our podcast has slowly been building over and over time. And, our viewership has definitely gone up, but those two episodes specifically early on were by far still our most popular.
Yeah.
And,
Well, that was just an awesome trip
it was,
too, and
yeah,
so those yeah,
yeah,
we had so much to talk about that we had to split it up into 2.
right. Yep. And so, yeah, I think, if I could recommend an episode, at least an episode that, is just us, I recommend the Peru part one and part two. I think those were really special, and it really resonated with people, and people were really interested in it. It's such an epic place, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we did episodes on Egypt and the Yucatan and, all over the world, Thailand, but there's something about Peru that I think really resonated with people, and a lot of people listened to. I mean, the photo of me in front of Machu Picchu is my main profile picture on pretty much everything. So it's like that trip still to me is like one of the most special places and trips I've ever been on. So, I think that podcast, that 2-part series was really popular for a reason. So, if I recommend any episode, it's those.
Yeah. Yeah, those are some of my favorites too. I also a more recent one was our Arizona one. That was really fun to
Yeah,
record.
right.
It was a fun trip too.
And that's the other thing, is it's not always about the place itself. Because we've not all of our episodes are equal, right? I mean, obviously, sometimes you're more on than others and everything. And we've done episodes on really awesome places, but it's maybe not the best episode. Not saying it's bad, but it just wasn't. And then you have an episode like you said, our Arizona episode, and not that Arizona's not awesome and epic, it was, but like, it's a domestic trip. It's not the biggest, most exciting place we've been. But that episode, we were just like, I thought the banter was really good. I thought the episode was flowed really well, and I just thought that was a really good episode. So it's
Yeah.
it's not always about the place either. It's about like how we kind of convey our experiences, and sometimes it's better than others.
Yeah, and like anything, energy ebbs and flows. We work full-time jobs, so we're coming at this like, this is our hobby. This is what we record, after work
Mhm.
today on a random Tuesday. Sometimes we record on the weekends, and I don't know if that maybe plays a part in sometimes having, time of day or definitely before we eat.
Right, yeah.
And, like, how engaged we are, I guess, is the word.
Yeah, you just have to be in the right headspace, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm so mentally exhausted from just life, everyday life that it's hard to sit down and really try to be articulate and communicate well what I'm thinking or my experiences. So I think headspace is a big thing, and I think again for some episodes, regardless of where the destination was, sometimes we're just on more than others.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
so
Cannot argue with that. It's so true, and you can probably go back and listen to a few and, be like, "Hmm, you had a lot on your mind that day, huh?"
yeah, yeah,
Because sometimes even just, like, simple words, it's like, I what was that word? I can't think of it.
yeah. That happens to
And
me all
it's
the time.
frustrating. It's even more frustrating when you're actually on a with a guest.
Right. Yeah, you and I recording just amongst ourselves, we can edit parts out. We can, there's a little more fluff. You can kind of finagle it more, but with a guest, it's like you can't really do that. It's just
Well, yeah, I mean, when you're you can edit after the fact in post-production. There's a industry term for you there.
right.
Um, but, like, while you're talking with the person, it's like, you know, just one of those, like, awkward moments. Oh my gosh, we have to talk about James Hammond.
Shout out James Hammond.
Yes. He came on our podcast, and we, had him on to talk about, Bhutan. When
Yep.
was that? That was a couple weeks ago?
It was a couple months ago. That was a while back.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was in February. It
Yeah.
is July. That is crazy.
Yeah.
He was awesome. He's got his own podcast, Winging It Travel on Boy Escapes Media, I believe. Um, but I will never forget, and this was so funny. When we knew his name was James, we knew it. Like you'd been communicating with him. We had an outline that had his name there or whatever. And we let him in the recording session, and Jared goes, "Hi, John." And then immediately the mic goes, "Fuck, I called him John."
Yeah. He laughed too. I felt bad. It was
Yeah.
like it was not my most professional moment. But again, that was probably one of those days where I was just like mentally done. And we sat down to record with him. But
Yeah.
that episode went really well. James is awesome.
Yeah.
He's a good buddy of ours now. We support each other and everything. So thanks for going with the flow. And yeah, we really appreciate him.
Yeah, and he's way more experienced with, like, podcasting and stuff like
Yeah.
we are. His is he does, like, immersive sounds in some of his episodes. They're pretty cool. And I think he focuses a little bit more on, like, shorter term, probably average episodes, like 30 minutes or so.
Right.
There's outliers here and there, but,
He has
um,
a whole series on Bhutan though. So go check that out and check him out. He's awesome.
yeah.
And what are some other bloopers we've had? Because we've had plenty of bloopers, and we don't release them because, like, we don't. It, it's not really like a comedy podcast per se. I know I'm hilarious, but like, what are some other bloopers we've had? That there's a few where it's like just such hard laughter that no sounds coming out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where we're keeled over.
So, well, we did release one, and it was the one where you got kind of frustrated because we had prepared the outline together, but you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Um, and kind of split up who was gonna, speak and go over which parts. And for the most part, this podcast is like a conversation podcast. It's kind of few and far in between where we actually have like um where we've done research on like history or things like that, but it is in there, especially in our Battle of Carolinas episode, which I think that was the episode.
Hmm.
We did a lot of research on that one because we were comparing the North Carolina and South Carolina like best mountains, beaches, and cities or
Hmm. Yeah.
um and we were talking about Caesar's head, and the word was escarpment, and you you were like trying to read the script that's like up on the TV, and you're like, I don't even know what that word is.
Yeah. Yeah. It was one of those like stumbled over my words and then couldn't really like read it correctly, and I got frustrated, and I got pissed off. It's a funny video, but I realized in that moment that like I'm much better just free flow talking, and so I'm not really great. If we have stuff up on the screen that like is to be read, we normally let you do it.
Yeah.
Not because I have a problem reading, but I don't communicate well that way. I'm definitely better at just like winging it and like just speaking.
Yeah, you definitely are. And I just, to me, I was like, I don't understand why you're having a hard time with this because I do that a lot at work where I'm like, I'm doing a presentation and I have speaker notes and I have like bullet points and it may or may not be exactly verbatim what I'm gonna say, but it like, I don't know, mentally I know how I'm gonna say it. The how I'm gonna deliver the sentence, the, like, kind of attitude or tone or whatever, so I guess I exercise that more in my corporate role than maybe you do, so maybe it just doesn't come naturally, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can read it,
Right.
but the problem is I was trying to make it. I don't like listen, and I know you listen to certain podcasts like this. I don't like podcasts where the person's reading off of something, off a tablet or something. I just don't like that. I like free flowing, like natural conversation and people that like have the information and are conveying it to you in their own words. And so I tried, as I'm reading stuff like that, I try to make it seem like, not that I'm trying to like fake it or anything, but I try to read it as if I'm saying it
Mhm.
and not that I'm just reading it off a screen because I don't like that as a listener. And when I do that and I'm trying, it's like I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can just read it straight, but you're going to be able to tell I'm reading it, and I don't like that. So I think that was my issue, trying to do that, and now I'm just like, okay, well, I don't want to just like be like reading verbatim off of a screen
Yeah, like,
because
filter
I
it through your own words.
yeah. So I try to like make it free flowing, almost like I'm the one saying it. Um, but now I just realized like I'm just better at just like trying to retain the information and then repeat it back in my own words.
Yeah. Yeah, like, watching you, when somebody brings up something on, like, ancient history or something like that, and watching you just be able to, like, go into the files of your mind and find the information and just, like,
Yeah.
blurt it out. It's like, "Okay."
And there's so much up here and not in like I'm an intelligent person way, but just there's so much fucking crammed in here that it's like sometimes the little guys in the office in my head are like looking for through the file cabinet like, all right, Egypt fourth dynasty, who has Egypt fourth dynasty, I don't know, it's like I can't like, it's there somewhere, but it's just like I can't find it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that happens with words all the time where I know a word, I use it all the time, but I'm talking, I'm speaking, and I can't think of the word.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So that was one blooper that we did share. The other one that comes to mind was before we did video, and it was our haunted savannah episode. We did the whole month of October 2025, we did 4 different episodes of, like, our Halloween special episodes, so we picked locations that were either, like, spooky or,
haunted, yeah.
yeah, things like that, and so we did a haunted Savannah, Georgia episode, and when we took a ghost tour there, one of the things that they told us was that the trees have teeth in them. I almost just did it again. And so in that episode, this is one where we were just cackling laughing because so confidently I said, trying to like uh switch topics from something else, like transition. I said, and the teeth have trees. And there was like in the recording, there's like I say that so confidently, and then there's about maybe 1 to 2 seconds of just silence where we're both like, "Wait, what?" And then just absolute high-pitched cackling laughter.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
I couldn't compose myself.
you said it, and like you said it so confidently to the point to where I was like, "Oh, okay," and then it took me a second, I was like, "Wait, what?" And we both just started laughing. It was one of my favorite bloopers.
Yeah, me too. That one was so fun. What episode was that? Haunted Savannah, episode 17 in October of 2025.
Yeah. And that's another thing that was really cool is like you said, during the month of October, we did a whole haunted themed episodes. So they're still travel themed, but they're like the haunted, creepy places we've been to. And I thought that was really cool to do because we've been to a lot of really cool and more haunted places.
Yeah.
I guess New Orleans would be another one, but we did just like kind of a regular episode on New Orleans. We still talked about like the ghost tours and the haunted places we visited, but um, yeah, that whole month of October. I don't know what we're gonna do this October. We have to go to more haunted places, I guess. But uh,
Oh, yeah, we gotta get to planning.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, and we also did the Haunted Dixie episode, which is I wanna shout out my sister because she's sort of like a hidden guest. Because we covered many places on Haunted Dixie, and one of them was the Bell Witch Cave, and my sister has been there and kind of did some work there too, so we had her on, but it wasn't like an official, like, quote, unquote, "guest episode," and again, that was also before we did, um, video.
yeah, yeah. The themed episodes are fun to do.
Mhm.
We change our logo normally, and it's like it's cool because people are in whether it's in the Halloween spirit or the Christmas spirit or whatever. It's like we kind of have an episode to go along with that. We did a Christmas special also with St. Augustine because we spent Christmas in St. Augustine one year. Um, it's a really cool place to go during the holidays. So, yeah, I mean, those themed episodes are really cool too.
Yeah, we get to have fun with it. Um, and we also do we've done a few, I don't know what we call them, not destination episodes. I had something else. Yeah, just our non-destination episodes like the airports, hotels, and highways,
Mhm.
which was just like general kind of travel tips or random travel stories that didn't necessarily fit in like a destination episode.
Right.
And our Battle of the Carolinas too, not
Mhm.
necessarily a destination episode. But still fun to do, to switch it up, get a little creative. Um,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and another cool thing about doing a podcast is like you said, we both work jobs. And I think most people in day-to-day life that work a normal job have to answer to somebody. And what's really cool about this is like this is our thing and we're the president and CEO of whatever this is and we answer to no one. We can do whatever we want and we have full creative control, which is something that I think a lot of people really like. And that was something that I really desired um before we started this. I like to write, I like to take photos. I feel like I'm a pretty artistic person, but I didn't really have like an outlet. And this has been like a great outlet for me. And I think that's something that like a lot of people desire is like to be in control of something.
Yeah.
It's like we own this brand. We can do whatever we want with it. Um, and that's cool too. It's cool to make decisions.
Yeah, and we stay pretty consistent. Our kinda tagline is we put out new episodes every week, but this is episode 48, and there are 52 weeks in a year. So there's a few here and there, but for the most part, we are putting an episode out every week. Every now and then, we might take a week off whether we're traveling, and we didn't record ahead of time enough, or, we just kinda, like, need a break, but we're showing up, we're putting the effort in,
Hmm.
and we're here.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about kind of our journey to where we are now, 1 year in. And I think we should also talk about like where we're going and the future for this. Um, just as far as like as a brand and as like our plans. Obviously, we're going to keep traveling. We're going to keep putting out content. We're going to keep getting cool guests. Uh, but as far as like what the next step is for temporary locals, we will have shirts at some point. We will have like clothing, apparel. We have stickers already. We've had stickers for a long time. If you want any stickers, let us know.
Yeah, email us. I'll send you we did a free sticker giveaway.
Yeah,
Um,
which is funny because I think that it's just like they're free regardless. I don't expect anybody to buy them anyway, right?
yeah, no, we were kind of doing it to promote our podcast. Like, hey, just show us proof that you follow us on one of our platforms and we'll send you a sticker.
Yeah,
You just have to give us your address.
and I think that's still like a valid offer. So if you want some stickers, let us know and put them somewhere cool. Put them, if you travel somewhere, you go to the beach, you go overseas anywhere, just put them on a fucking light pole or something, or
Yeah, or just take them with you and take a picture with, like, the Great Wall of China in the background or something, you know?
yeah, or just put it on the Great Wall of China.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Put it on the Alamo.
Yeah, we wanna have we don't have a website yet. We have, like, our social media, so we're on Instagram, so you can catch up with us there, and we post kind of, like, promotional, like, episode clips and, like, a carousel to go along with each episode there, but kind of, like, any updates and things like that on Instagram too. We also want to do, like, an on destination podcast.
Yes.
That's one thing that we haven't planned, but, like, it's in the noggin that we should do.
Yeah, we can talk about that off camera, kind of plan that. But some of our plans coming up is, we're planning a trip to Mexico, in a few months. And then next year, our big trip, our big international trip next year will be going back to Egypt. We're planning to go to Egypt. And this isn't in the works as of yet, but I think at some point we want to look at doing tours. And so we'll do like temporary local tours. That's something that I just am kind of interested in doing.
Yeah.
Um, and so whenever that kind of manifests, we'll be sure to let the public know. And if you're interested in coming with us to whether it's Egypt or somewhere else, we'll take people abroad and we'll do a tour group,
Yeah.
and I can be your tour guide. What's up?
Yeah, I think that would be really fun.
I think Egypt would be a good place. I think that's a good place to take people. I have connections there. I know some like tour companies and stuff there, and people that I've gone through before, and so we would just have to bring a group there, and we could do a tour. Obviously, it would be with their company, but it would be under with us, so it'd be a temporary local tour, and I think that'd be really really fun. I think it'd be awesome to have like a group of people and take them somewhere, and we could all kind of hang out and travel together.
Yeah. It'd be cool if we could get some of our previous guests to come.
I was thinking about that too. I was thinking about doing like a temporary locals like reunion
Yeah.
and inviting the various guests we've had on. Obviously, everybody wouldn't be able to make it, but like all meet in one place. Doesn't have to be anywhere super exotic, but just all meet in a place and have a dinner or something.
Yeah.
You know?
I wanna go to, like, a podcast convention.
Yeah. I mean, they have them. And who
Yeah, you
knows?
just
Maybe
gotta
one
find
day
them.
we could have our own temporary locals convention. A travel convention. We could start our own.
Yeah.
There's just these are some of the ideas that we have aside from just like obviously we're going to keep putting episodes out weekly or typically weekly. We do have some like other bigger things in the works, and we're just steaming ahead.
Yeah, like, you talked about how we started the podcast and things just sort of fell into place. Like, we just figured things out and had ideas come up and said, "We should do that," or, "We should stop doing this," and, yeah, I think that's just how we'll continue to go forward. Yeah, so, it's been quite the journey, and we are happy to be here, excited to, keep going and see what's in store for us and all the new connections and old ones that we, maintain. So, yeah, we're super excited. If you listen this long, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. That's it for this week, though. Thank you again for listening. And like I said, we are now on all the podcasting platforms. So if you enjoyed this episode, or we would appreciate the engagement, it really helps kind of boost in the algorithm and the platform gods or whatever. So Spotify, Apple, Amazon, you can leave a 5-star review. Leave the 4 stars and below at home.
Yeah.
And YouTube, you can, comment and share. I guess you could share on all of them. You get it. Anyways, you can find us again on Instagram at Temporary Locals Podcast. Jared and I are also on Instagram and YouTube, so you can find Jared at Rover_Stover on Instagram and at Rover Stover on YouTube. And I am Mego or at Mego.goes.global on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. And with that,
I'm Jared.
and I'm Megan. Thanks for exploring with us.
And remember to be a local anywhere you go.
Bye.
Bye.